All right, you got your lines, get them all out, make sure you got the right amount. And what you want to do is you want to find your right rear one, because you're going to do the right rear one first. So that means it's going to be the short curve. So which one of these is the short curve? That one. No, this one. This is the short curve. Okay. Since that's the short curve, and we want to go to the rear, right rear. And on the rear, that was the one that was on the right side in the rear. So it's going to be the long one of these two. Okay? This is the long one because it has to reach farther. So it's going to be the short one. Okay? So this is going to be the first one. Alright, so now you need to straighten it out where the bends are. And we're going to start. If you have the dual rear, that's fine because that's what I got. If you got the single rear line, and then you're just going to use the single one, and basically goes in the same way. What I'll do is I'll take this and I'll just squeeze it just a little bit. I don't want to bend it right here, but I just want to bend it in just a little bit. Just a little bit. A little bit helps, okay? Okay, what you want to do is you want to stick it in. I'm going to stick it into the left of this, but you actually want to go underneath it eventually, because you want to go in underneath this harness, and you want to go underneath the fuel lines, the filler tubes, okay? You want to go underneath those. So what you do is you go underneath, and you see where the end of this is at, and you guide it, and just keep on pushing. Just keep on pushing it forward, okay? Inch by inch. Usually I start my line, this line, with this, instead of starting out like this going in there. And then when it gets like about, here's ABS unit. Right here's ABS unit. Right about here, along right here, I'll get up here and I'll grab that end and I'll turn it the way it's supposed to be, facing this way, okay? And then I'll pull it up in here and get it in there and I get it started. And then I'll tighten it up and I got it against the frame. Okay, so I'll make sure you tighten it up. I put ASCs on it. So that one's tightened. And then I can go into the back. I'll lower it down and I'll fish this up underneath the wire harness and underneath the fuel filler tube, okay? Okay, I got the line in there. I pushed it underneath this one, underneath these lines, this line, over that line. Got it in there. Angled it down towards the frame underneath so I can get it in there a little bit, and then I bend it back up over that frame and back over towards the center. All right, you might have to bend them a little bit, that's fine. Just don't kink them. All right, so that one's in there now. I'm gonna get it over there and get it started in that flex hose that's in the center. Okay, get it started in there. And that one goes to the right side, so put a pair of vice grips on the bracket and tighten that line up as best you can. And hold it as straight as possible. Next is the other one that runs to the back for the left rear. If you only have one, then this is it. And then you can put your bolt back in that bracket and tighten it up and then proceed. Okay, and got the left rear one. All right. I start them like this. Okay, and then when I get about right here, I'll turn them. So that way, then that's facing that way. I don't know, but usually when I try putting them in that way, it doesn't go too good. So it needs too much stuff. So I put them in like this. All right, and then I'll just stick it in there. like that. And then I'll just keep pushing and guiding. Okay, so anything you can do, it's all the best advice I can tell you. All right, see how it's hanging? That way, when it gets up in here, right about here, it'll be pointing that way. If it's pointing this way over here, then it's gonna get stuck on the body. So that's the reason why I put them in 180 off. All right, just keep guiding and pushing, and make sure you go underneath any electrical wires that are going to over the fuel tank. And also make sure you stay on the outside of that wire harness, okay? And then when you get about over here, you need to twist it and turn it. You need to turn this baby so it's facing the other way, because our ABS unit's right here, okay? So now's a good time to push it, twist it. And when you twist it, depending upon which way you're gonna go, this is gonna flip in there, okay? All right, I twisted the line, so the line went like this, okay? And went up into the fender, all right? And I just helped it out, I stuck it in there, just to hold it. So now you come over here and you look at it, and you'll see it. There it is, lined up, pretty darn good. So now I'll put some anti-seize on it and I'll get it started. And then I'll tighten it up and make sure you push it up against the other one, nice and tight. And then we'll go to the back and shove it in the back. Okay, the line is in there, I got it tight. If you're having a hard time getting them started, and the line is kind of crooked, what I'll do is I'll stick the line in the hole, and then I'll push on the other part of the line to help bend it which way I want to go, okay? And it needs to be starting, true. You can't have it start at an angle. And when you do get it started, you should be able to get a couple threads in there, and if you put your wrench on it, it should turn freely. If it got a little bit of resistance, stop. Unthread it back out, and make sure your line is, true. Just stick it in there perfect. You don't look from the side, look from the bottom. Okay? All right, I'm gonna go to the back now. All right, I'm pretty sure it goes underneath. I'm pretty sure it's the bottom one because it has the shorter bend to come down over here than the other one. So it's gonna go underneath it. So it's gonna be on the bottom. So I'm gonna connect it to the bracket lines, the flex hoses, and then I'll get that tight, and then I'll get my bracket mounted with my bolt, and then I'll work on my straightening up these lines and then putting all this back together. Okay, I had mine threaded, a couple threads, it went pretty good. And then it kind of stopped. But my amount of threads I had compared to the other one wasn't even close. So I grabbed hold of the metal line and I pushed and pulled, and it was loose inside the fitting. So what I did was I undid it and I started over, and then double checked to make sure I was straight, because it wasn't straight before. Apparently it looked straight. So now I got it, and it was fairly close at the end before I bared down on it to tighten it up. So now it's perfect. So now I can put my retainer bolt in that bracket. All right. Easiest way to get this is make sure that the bracket is pretty straight. And then you're gonna have to bend the lines of the bracket a little bit, and then line up that alignment notch on the bottom of the bracket with the hole, the correct hole. And then you can drop the bolt down through the top. It's closer to this line here. Drop it down in there. And if it rests in there, standing up, then you got it. Then you can put your ratchet wrench up in there and ratchet it in very slowly. All right, so we got that done. I ended up putting the right side line on the bottom because it had the longer reach right here than the other one. Okay, it wouldn't go the other way, so I also kind of switched it over there too. Okay, I got the left higher than the right. I put a zip tie in there to help me hold it in there also. Next, we're gonna do the rear axle lines. So you wanna go and cut your lines, take your fittings off, right and left, okay? And then reuse these clamps if you can. You have to bend a little tab to release it so you can separate it. Once you do that, they come apart. And over here, it's got a metal clip. You gotta come over here on the other side and you gotta lift it up and separate it where the teeth are. With a flat blade screwdriver, and then you got to open it way open so you can remove it out of this piece here. Once you open it all the way up, you'll see. And make sure you leave them loose at each side. So you want to leave those loose because 99% of the time the bleeders don't come loose. So I bleed them right here. All right. Okay, I got this all pretty much back together. If you get the gray retainers back in there, that's great. If you can't, just go ahead and zip tie the wire harness to the brake line. That's sufficient enough, okay? It ain't gonna go anywhere. All right, so now we can put the wheel well in. The fender skirt. Okay, the next one you want to do is the right front. And it looks like that when it comes out of the box. You want to straighten it out, and then you want to stick it. You want to stick that end through the driver's side right there. But you want to go underneath. I'm gonna go underneath the wire harness. You want to stick it there and have it go straight down that way. You want to get as much as in there as you can, because then you're gonna guide the other end that way. And this is how that one looks, okay? Twist it and shove it down there as best as you can, because it's gonna go heading down there. And then when you get to this point here, it's all gonna be just like, kind of like hanging there. And then just shove this end down through here behind this wire harness, because you want to go down below it. And so got most of it in there. Comes up around. So when you get that end down there close to that ABS unit, then you can come up here and straighten everything up. Okay, I pulled on this end and it stopped. Okay, and then you need to look. Reason why it stopped is because there's a corner. Okay, see it? All right, so we might have to come back just a little bit because these lines got to go in here. All right, and this section here has got to go up over this frame here underneath this harness and come out over here in the right wheel well, because it's got to go over there to the line. So we need to stick this up there, push it through. Yeah, you'll be bending stuff and this and that, but you can bend them back pretty decent. Okay, it's in there. What you do is you just kind of bend it a little bit and stick it up in there and reach your hand over here and grab that end, this end, and pull it through. And it'll be a little bit of a little bend in there, no big deal. And you got that up sitting over there. And then you want to come over here, lift it up, get it over the shock. Make sure it's kind of free a little bit, make sure it's not binding. All right, and then come over here, and then you want to get this line around that. And then you want to get that one started in there, okay? Snug it up and then loosen it, all right? Because that's where we're gonna bleed it. Leave it loose. All right, you got the line in there. Pull the line down there past the frame like that. There's a retainer over here. You put the wire harness in it, and the same retainer, you put the line in it, okay? If you want, you can zip tie that up. You never know, a tire might hit it, who knows. But anyway, next, we'll move down over here. Make sure this all looks kosher somewhat. And you want that. And this has to go down below this one. We'll have to look at the schematic where it goes. Next you want to do is get this one in there. Shouldn't be any big bends in here, should be fairly straight. And then what you want to do is take this and twist it up, give it a twist and give it over the frame. And make sure you go underneath the brake cable and underneath your wire harness to get it up into there, okay? And it's the next hole, all right?